Okay, let's talk about professional ethics. It's one of those phrases that gets thrown around all the time, right? But what does it really mean when you're on the job facing a tough decision? That's what we're going to dig into today. Not the textbook definitions, but a real practical guide for those tricky situations you actually face at work.
All right, let's just jump right in with a scenario. Imagine this. You're running a project, the deadline is looming, and you are so behind schedule. And hey, it's not even your fault. Your boss comes over and says, just get it done, by any means necessary. You know exactly what they're hinting at, right? Cut some corners. So what do? This is the messy, real-world stuff we're getting into.
So, that situation we just talked about, that's what we call a classic ethical dilemma. And yeah, there's a formal definition for it. But it basically boils down to this. You've got a couple of choices, you have to pick one, but, and here's the kicker, every single option forces you to compromise on some ethical principle. It's that classic stuck between a rock and a hard place feeling. There's just no easy way out.
So how in the world do you make the right call when there are no easy answers? Well, it's not about memorizing a rule book for every possible scenario. It's about building something much deeper, a solid foundation. And that foundation is your personal work ethic. You can think of it as your own internal compass for navigating all of those gray areas.
So what even is a work ethic, really? It's so much more than just showing up and putting in the hours. It's an attitude. It's this deep dedication to your job that's totally rooted in strong moral principles. It's the fundamental belief that how you get things done is just as important as getting them done in the first place. And look, having a strong work ethic isn't just about feeling good about yourself or being a good person. This stuff has real, tangible benefits. We're talking about a serious boost in productivity, way less drama and conflict in the workplace, and it actually helps the whole organization succeed in the long run. It is, no joke, a total win-win for you and for the company.
Okay, that's great, but how do you actually build this thing? Well, it really just comes down to a simple three-step process. First, you've got to master your time. Second, you develop good habits. And third, you just commit to being professional. Let's break each of those down.
So step 1, master your time. This is all about putting yourself in the driver's seat of your workday. You're not just reacting to a never-ending to-do list, you're looking at it strategically and prioritizing what actually matters. You're setting your own deadlines to build momentum, and maybe most importantly, you're actively fighting that little voice in your head that tells you to procrastinate. Step 2 is all about being intentional, about consciously developing good habits. These are the actual building blocks of a great work ethic. It could be a mindset, like adopting a do-it-now attitude, or taking full accountability for your work, the good and the bad. And it's also about how you interact with people, always showing respect, practicing dedication, and keeping things confidential. These aren't just fluffy ideas. They're concrete actions you can practice over and over until they just become who you are at work. And all of that leads us right into the third step. Be professional. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Being a professional isn't about what you wear or what your title is. It's about being consistent. It's about being reliable and honest. At the end of the day, it's a deep-seated commitment to delivering your absolute best work every single time. Okay, so once you've built that strong personal foundation, it's time to step into what we're calling the arena. The day-to-day reality of working with other people. And that, of course, inevitably brings us to the very tricky art of professional disagreement.
One of the absolute toughest ethical challenges we face at work is giving criticism, especially when nobody asked for it. It can feel like you're walking through a minefield, right? But the good news is there's a framework, a set of 5 key rules that can help guide you through it.
All right, let's get into these rules. Rule number 1 is so simple but so powerful. Don't. Seriously, your first instinct should always be to just pause and ask, is this criticism really necessary? If the answer is yes, then you can move down the list. So, number 2, check your motivation. Is this actually about helping the other person, or is it about making yourself feel smarter? Then, number 3, frame it as a shared opportunity. Use words like we instead of you. And finally, show a little empathy. Acknowledge that hearing feedback can be tough. It's a roadmap for turning what could be a negative moment into a truly constructive one. Now, when you're facing a bigger moral disagreement at work, you've generally got 3 ways you can go. You can choose confrontation, that's a direct head-on challenge. You can choose tolerance, the classic live and let live or agree to disagree approach. Or you can choose engagement, and this is the sweet spot. The goal here isn't to win an argument,
but to have a healthy, respectful conversation to see if you can find some common ground. That's where real progress can happen.
So far, we've been talking a lot about you, the individual, but none of us work in a vacuum, right? We're all part of a bigger system, which brings up a huge question. When it comes to creating an ethical workplace, whose job is it anyway?
A huge chunk of the responsibility for an ethical workplace falls squarely on the employer. They're the ones who design the whole system. This means doing the formal stuff, like writing up a clear code of ethics and having fair policies. But it's also about the culture. It's about leadership actually leading by example, rewarding people for doing the right thing, and creating an environment where people feel safe to speak up. They have to build the entire infrastructure that makes doing the right thing the easiest and most supported choice.
So, if the employer's job is to build the ethical house, what's your role as the employee? Well, it really boils down to this: being a good resident. Your core responsibility is to be a reliable, honest, and high-performing part of that system they've built. It's about taking pride in your work and holding up your end of the bargain.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about the foundation of your personal work ethic, the arena of professional disagreement, and the bigger system of responsibility. Now, let's tie it all together and figure out how to put these ethics into practice.
And here we are, right back where we started. The project is late, your boss is telling you to get it done by any means. But here's the difference. This time, you're not going in empty-handed. You have a framework. You have a much clearer understanding of your own work ethic, the art of disagreement, and your role in the whole system. Now, is the choice suddenly easy? Probably not. But you are so much better equipped to make it. So, what's your next move?